The world 1.9 million years ago looked both familiar and alien. The continents were already close.
The African plains swarmed with life. Giant elephants, saber-toothed cats, and towering giraffids.
This was the Pleistocene epoch, a time of great evolutionary change. Temperatures fluctuated.
By 1.9 million years ago, Africa had witnessed several generations of humans.
With their hands, they shaped stone tools sharper and more versatile than any before. Axes, scrapers.
Water is scarce, and they must travel to a nearby river. But danger always lurks. Lions, crocodiles.
What set Homo erectus apart was their ability to cooperate and plan. They communicated using primitive sounds,
Disease, drought, and injury claimed many lives. Yet these hardships also forged resilience.
When a member of the group died, they didn't simply abandon the body. Archaeological evidence suggests Homo erectus sometimes buried their dead.
The world of 1.9 million years ago was harsh, but it was the forge that created humanity.
Dawn of humanity, nearly 1.9 million years ago. Earth was a world of both danger and discovery. But survival in that ancient wilderness was no simple feat. Every sunrise brought the promise of food and the threat of death. Saber-toothed cats Meganterion and Homotherium stalked the tall grass, their elongated fangs capable of piercing thick hides. Donophilus, a leopard-like cat, ambushed from trees and rocks. Packs of early hyenas and wild dogs hunted cooperatively, and the most feared of all the mighty short-faced hyena, Pachycroqueta breviostris, was a bone-crushing scavenger capable of taking down even young elephants. It was in this world of tooth and claw that our ancestors learned to survive. Chapter 2. The Rise of Homo erectus, the first true humans. By 1.9 million years ago, Africa had witnessed several generations of human-like species. From Australopithecus afarensis, like the famous Lucy, evolved a more capable being, Homo habilis, the handyman, but it was Homo erectus, appearing around this time, who marked a turning point in human evolution. They were taller, standing up to 6 feet, and stronger than their predecessors, with longer legs built for endurance running. Their brains were nearly twice the size of Australopithecus, signaling leaps in intelligence and adaptability. With their hands, they shaped stone tools sharper and more versatile than any bifraxes, scrapers, and flakes used for butchering, digging, and defense. A day in the life. Imagine dawn breaking over an East African valley. The first golden light spills across the plain, glinting off the tall grasses. A small band of Homo erectus, perhaps 20 individuals, wakens near a cluster of acacia trees. Smoke from a dying fire curls into the morning air. The night has been cold, and the warmth of the embers kept predators away. They move cautiously. The older males and females scan the horizon, while the younger ones gather stones and branches. Water is scarce, and they must travel to a nearby river, but danger always lurks. Lions, crocodiles, and giant snakes share the same watering holes. Tools and cooperation. What set Homo erectus apart was their ability to cooperate and plan. They communicated using primitive sounds, gestures, and perhaps the first signs of structured speech. When they hunted, they did so together using strategy rather than speed or strength alone. They might drive a herd of antelope toward a natural trapper steep ravine, or a thicker tand ambush them using sharpened stone tools. Once an animal fell, the group would work together to butcher it quickly before scavengers arrived. Fire, though not yet fully mastered everywhere, became their greatest ally. It provided light, warmth, and a way to cook meat, making nutrients more digestible and supporting further brain growth. Fire also offered psychological power. The glow of flames at night became a gathering place, a symbol of safety and community. Chapter 3. Life and Death in the African Wilds. The hunter becomes the hunted for early humans. Survival was a constant battle. Despite their intelligence, they were far from the top of the food chain. At any moment, a predator could strike. Imagine a young Homo erectus wandering too far from camp to collect berries. In the tall grass, two yellow eyes follow silently the gaze of Adonophilus, the saber-toothed cat. The cat moves with practiced precision, muscles rippling beneath its spotted coat. A rustle, a low growland in seconds. Life is gone. The rest of the group finds only the bloodied remnants hours later, a reminder of the brutal balance of life and death. Predators were not their only threat. Disease, drought, and injury claimed many lives. Yet these hardships also forged resilience. The group learned to protect its weak and young, to mourn their dead, and to move on together. Family and social life. Homo erectus lived in small, tight-knit groups. Each member played a role: gatherers, tool makers, hunters, protectors. The social bonds were strong, rooted in shared survival. Mothers nursed and protected their young for years, while older members taught tool-making and foraging skills. These early humans likely cared for the sick and elderly, an extraordinary sign of empathy emerging in evolution. In the evenings, after hunting and gathering, they would sit together around their fires. They may not have had language as we know it, but gestures, facial expressions, and sounds carried deep meaning. Perhaps they shared memories of the day's hunt or warnings about predators. In these fireside gatherings, the seeds of human culture were planted. Death and legacy. When a member of the group died, they didn't simply abandon the body. Archaeological evidence suggests Homo erectus sometimes buried their dead, or at least protected the remains from scavengers, an early sign of respect for life and death. Death, though frequent, carried meaning. In this world, survival itself was an achievement. Every day lived was a victory against extinction. Chapter 4. The Web of Life. Other species in the wild. The African wilds 1.9 million years ago weren't just home to humans. They were a living mosaic of extraordinary species, each playing a role in the balance of life. The giants of the plains, Elephas rechi, an ancestor of today's African elephants, larger and with longer tusks. They moved in herds across the savannas, creating trails and waterholes that shaped the land. Giraffe jume, a taller, more robust ancestor of modern giraffes. Their height allowed them to feed from trees others couldn't reach. Hippopotamus gorgops, a massive hippo-like creature with high-set eyes, living near rivers and lakes, fiercely defending its territory. These herbivores were the lifeblood of the ecosystem, providing food for predators and maintaining the vegetation balance. The predator's domain, the African wilds, were equally defined by their predators. Lions existed in primitive forms, but they shared the land with saber-toothed cats and giant hyenas far deadlier than any modern carnivore. The air itself was filled with danger. Giant vultures and marabou storks circled above, always ready to feast on the remains of the fallen. Predation was brutal, but it maintained order. The strong survived, the weak perished, and the ecosystem thrived in the eternal cycle of life and death. The small but crucial creatures beneath this grandeur, small creatures, insects, reptiles, rodents, and birds played unseen roles. Termites built towering mounds that aerated the soil. Insects recycled the dead into nutrients. Birds acted as scavengers and seedsters. Even then, the planet's balance depended on the tiniest lives. Chapter 5. Evolutionary turning points from stone to intelligence. Around this time, Homo erectus began to refine their stone tools into Acheulean hand-axis teardrop-shaped tools that showed planning and symmetry. These were not random stones, but deliberate creations, indicating abstract thought. It was a sign of growing intelligence, the first sparks of creativity and problem-solving. The ability to plan, to remember, and to teach made Homo erectus the first true innovators. Over thousands of generations, these skills spread, giving rise to migrations beyond Africa. The Great Expansion. By about 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus began to move beyond Africa to Asia and Europe, adapting to cold climates, new animals, and unfamiliar plants. They carried with them the fire, the tools, and the instincts born in the African wilds. Every step they took spread the seed of humanity farther across the globe. Africa remained the motherland, but the world was becoming their home.